So hello from Green-Mopeds in London. So today we're going to give you a quick static review of the Artisan EVC, which is a 125cc equivalent electric moped. In electric terms that's called L3E. So you therefore need either a CVT plus L plates or an A1 or greater license to ride this. So the first thing to talk about is actually Artisan itself. So Artisan are actually the importer, they're not the manufacturer. They label a lot of their bikes that they import with their branding. So for example, behind there you see the EV2000R, which is branded by them, the Coulter, which is also branded by them. For the EV2000R and this one, we think the actual manufacturer is a company called Ant Technology Group out of China. The model is called Swan. If you hunt out Ant Tech and you search for their Swan electric moped, you will see basically the same bike. Over there they sell it with different colours and two different power specifications, one of which is a 3 kilowatt and one of which is the 4 kilowatt, which is this one. Over here, this is the only model they have, so Storm Grey 4 kilowatt is your choice. Okay, so it's about 1.9 meters long. Its weight with the battery loaded is about 90 kilos. It can take a load of up to 150 kilos, so it is possible to take a passenger. As you can see, it does have the pegs here for that. One thing that we like about it is that there is no ridge in the seat, so you have the whole seat to play with in terms of where you want to sit, either with or without a passenger. Other bikes, as we've mentioned before, like the Niu, which is over here, they have the ridge in the seat, so that sort of forces you to sit where the bike wants you to sit rather than what is the most comfortable or safe. Okay, so we do point this out every time we talk about bikes in terms of what seat they have. In terms of competition, actually the NQiGTS Sport, which is that one over there, is actually a competitive product to this. It's got 3.5 kilowatts though, whereas this one is 4 kilowatts. The way you can work that out is by looking on the actual hub itself, hub motor. So 4 kilowatts there, 4,000 watts. Niu do lots of different variants of their bikes now, but 3.5 kilowatts is their NQiGTS Sport spec. So from a power perspective, this one probably has it. From a range perspective, the Niu would have it. That's probably 60 to 70 miles. The range on this bike is more like 40 miles. Okay, people are more likely to choose this bike for its styling, so sort of Lambretta-esque, something like that, just as they would probably choose the EV2000R because it looks like a Vespa. Okay, so just a bit more about the battery. So under the seat there is room for just one battery. Okay, so that's a 72 volt 40 amp hour battery. It is made by LG, so a good make. Interestingly, they have the port that the lead goes into and then the charging port separately. Haven't seen that before on any of the bikes that we do. The charger here is 8 amp. Okay, so luckily it's small enough that it would fit in under the seat. Most times people are asking, can I get a helmet under the seat? And pretty much every time, apart from maybe the Super Soccer CPX over there, the answer is no, but this one at least gives you the space to hold the charger. While we're on to storage, the top box, which is obviously color coded, and the screen, which you can see there, are actually a £200 option. That is the only options you have on this bike. Obviously you don't have to take their top box. Other top boxes are available, such as Shad and Givi, which we can supply. But if you want color coding, that's the way to go. And it's the only size as well, so that is your choice. As you can see, it comes with a nice pad on the back for the passenger. But if you wanted to fit good 2 full-sized helmets, it might not be good enough for that. Some other features, so it has both a side stand and a center stand, which is often good, save you having to sort of heft the bike up onto its center stand when it's maybe a bit more of a challenge for you to do so. If we talk about the actual dashboard, so one of the things that we have to highlight about this dashboard is what this is actually telling you, or possibly not telling you. So as we said, the battery is 72 volts and 40 amp hours. So when the battery is fully charged, you will see 72 volts there, and this is a fair indicator of how much battery is left. Okay, so there are 10 segments on there, so you could say that we've got 70% of our battery left. However, when you ride it, it sort of becomes more of an indicator of load, or can become an indicator of load. Okay, so what I mean by that is you will see this change rather rapidly when you're going along at full power. Okay, so, and then it will go back to a more accurate reading of battery left. So in actual fact, it's sort of measuring both load and battery power that is left, battery capacity that is left. I'm not sure that particularly is helpful, because when you are riding it, you might actually sometimes see this flashing red, and you'll see the voltmeter go down to 66 volts as you know there's a load being put on the bike. I'm not sure that's necessarily helpful. What you actually want to know is how much range you've got left, or most of the time that's one of the first questions that people ask us: how much do I get for a battery? So the battery is rated as 40 miles, which is why we say that the NQiGTS Sport goes further, because it has two batteries, and as I said, this one only has one. The Super Soco CPX, that one over there, without the screen on it yet, that can do 80 miles with two batteries. Again, this bike doesn't have the option for the second battery. It's that battery and that battery only. But as I say, what this is telling us is I've got 70% of my battery capacity left, but it will also move irrespective of the range left when you are riding it. So it's a bit like on a Super Soco TC, it's flashing up and saying, oh, you're putting a heavy load, so a 94, 95 error, something like that. It's not necessarily an error, it's just telling you that the bike is under heavy load. Okay, so, but as I say, I think people really want to know range. We'll show you this more on the rider view that we're going to do. So going around the front part here, here you see you've got your low and high mode, so it's only 2-speed. So it's saying L and H on the switch, which translates to 1 and 2 on the dashboard. You've got standard things like hazard lights. You've actually got a kill switch and then an enablement switch for the throttle. So at the moment it's in P, and the throttle is not doing anything. If I press and hold this button here and it goes to 0, you'll see that it is now spinning up. So its top speed is quoted at 50 miles an hour, but I'm thinking more like 40, 45. So obviously I'm riding that with no load, and it got to 46, and the battery's quite highly charged. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is a 50 mile an hour bike, more like 45 mile an hour bike. Again, that's comparable with the NQiGTS Sport or Pro, and the CPX, Super Soco CPX, is actually a 56 mile an hour bike, so you will get more speed out of the CPX if that's what you want. The rest of the layout is pretty much the same, so you've got headlights, indicators, horn. Unfortunately, the indicators don't make any noise, but you just cancel them by pressing the center button, which is easier than some. On the key lock, so the first thing to say about the key lock is actually that you can close it. So as you can see, just by flicking that switch. The reasons for doing that are obviously so that you can't get into the keyhole, but it's also, if you can't get into the keyhole, you can't get under the seat to get to the battery. So it's a good way of protecting access to that compartment. If you were storing things in it as well, obviously that would be protected. The way you unlock it is actually through this matching key here. We've seen this on a lot of Chinese bikes actually, that they come with this capability, and all you essentially do is unlock it using that. Again, if that was covered, you couldn't unlock the steering lock either, so another quite interesting feature. As you can see, it is quite wide, so you you are protected from the wind quite a bit, and obviously with the screen that would help. There's a bag hook down there to carry stuff between your legs, and here you can see that it has a cubby hole for your phone, and also what looks to be like a 12 volt power supply, but is actually a USB port that's covered with a 12 volt cover. Okay, so if there are any sort of niggles about this bike, I would say it's my favourite of fixed mirrors. So you cannot adjust these mirrors once they're screwed into place. That's that, but that's the same on the Horwin CR6, for example, and of course you could change those mirrors to something else while still keeping the design. This indicator of the battery capacity, I think, isn't the most useful, I would say. You will get used to it, but as I've said before, what you probably want is actually an absolute percentage of battery left. If as most people are concerned about range, to give you something that's clearly indicating how much percentage the battery has is probably a good thing. I suppose you could say that the fact that indicators don't make a noise is another minus mark, but not insurmountable. If we just look at how the lights are looking, so as you can see here, there is a filament, and then the rest of the light is LED. So they sort of tried to match or mix sort of more of a classic design with a future design, and as you can see, it's LEDs at the back, and it's an interesting little cluster they have there for the brake light. It's a bit similar in some respects to a Super Soccer CUX. It's got front and rear disc brakes, okay, hydraulic. As this is a 125cc equivalent, it is CBS. So that's combined braking, which is obviously different from ABS. So CBS means that the brakes will be applied to the front and back together to slow you down rather than hopefully ending up in a skid or anything like that. About the screen and the top box. So as I said, the top box is color coded, so it's the Storm Grey. It's big enough, although if you were having two and you both had full-faced helmets, it possibly wouldn't be. The screen and the top box come as one option, as in you have to buy them together. They are £200 extra, okay? This, just as an aside, both the screen and the top box will also go on the EV2000R over there. Okay, so in terms of overall price, it is on the OLEV grant, so it will come with the 3-year warranty on the battery and 2-year warranty on the bike. The price after the grant has been deducted is 3152, okay, and then possibly the £200 extra for the accessories, and then the on the road, so the registration fee and number plate. Okay, that's the price. That will compare to possibly an NQiGTS Sport, which is 2996 with two batteries, so 60 to 70 mile range and about the same speed. So from a speed perspective, they're pretty much the same. From a range perspective, you will get more out of the NIU, but it's possibly unlikely that you'll get someone who's interested in this bike wants something that looks like an NIU. You know, this is more of a choice of design. Okay, so people are into Lambrettas and Vespas, they're more likely to pick these sort of artisan bikes because of their actual styling. Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily say they're competitive, but from price, they're pretty much the same. Okay, we will be doing a ride review shortly, and hopefully that will be as interesting. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at hello@greenmopeds.com, and thanks very much.